What if you could time travel through wisdom? Welcome to Elder Secrets, where age speaks and youth listens. In today's episode, what every 80-year-old wishes they knew at 50, we unlocked life's most powerful regrets, revelations, and golden advice, so you don't have to wait decades to learn them. Let's begin.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really compelling, I think. It speaks to anyone navigating midlife, or really anyone who just hopes to reach old age feeling, peaceful rather than regretful. We're asking, what do 80-year-olds wish they knew when they were 50? And this isn't just like general advice. This is raw, hard-won wisdom. It comes from dozens of real people they've already lived it.
That's exactly right. The material for this deep dive, it's pulled directly from some really extensive interviews with folks in their 80s, even 90s. And what's truly striking are the patterns. You see these clear themes emerge.
Regrets.
Yeah, common regrets, definitely. But maybe more importantly, these illuminating insights. It's almost like getting a sneak peek, a bit of foresight for the decades you still have ahead.
And it feels like turning 50 is such a unique spot for this kind of wisdom, right? Because you've lived enough to actually understand consequences. You have a real sense of yourself.
But you still have time.
Exactly. Enough runway, let's say, to make real changes, to course correct if you need to. It's not about looking back feeling bad. It's about looking forward with real intention.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And almost universally, these people we spoke with, they wished they'd really understood their agency back then, the sheer scale of opportunity they actually had at 50. They realized, looking back, just how much the choices they made, or maybe the ones they didn't make, in that decade, how profoundly those choices shaped everything that came after. You really are the architect of your next 30, 40 years.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Maybe start with the most universal piece of advice, the one that just kept coming up.
Yeah.
And it's something we all kind of know, but maybe don't fully internalize. Your health is your wealth.
Absolutely. Number one.
When these 80-year-olds were asked what they wished they knew at 50, the single biggest regret wasn't career moves or even relationship stuff sometimes. It was not taking health seriously enough.
And that's physical, mental, and emotional health. They really emphasized all three.
Right.
We heard from Margaret. She's 83. She put it very bluntly. She said, at 50, I thought I was invincible. I was wrong.
Wow. Invincible.
Yeah. And she wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Many had this sort of deferred payment mindset about their health. They'd always bounced back before, right? So they figured their bodies would just keep doing that. But what came through so clearly in these interviews is that your 50s, that is the time to make serious investments in the body and mind that have to carry you through your 70s, 80s, maybe longer. You can't just coast anymore.
Right. I remember reading about Robert, the retired engineer. He said he felt fine eating like he was 25.
Yeah, that's a great quote.
He said, your body keeps a ledger, and at some point, the bill comes due. It's easy to ignore those little aches or that, constant tiredness at 50. Did they talk about when that bill actually came due? Like a specific moment?
Oh, absolutely. Many mentioned a specific health scare, or maybe a sudden diagnosis in their late 60s or 70s that just felt like a complete wake-up call. And the advice wasn't about, running marathons or extreme diets. It was more about what one person called boring healthy habits.
Boring healthy habits. I like that.
Right, like prioritizing quality sleep, not just getting enough hours, but creating the conditions for genuinely restorative sleep.
So it's not just about the quantity.
No, it's the quality. Many wish they had understood that shaving off an hour or two consistently in their 50s, that wasn't just getting by, it was like systematically chipping away at their future cognitive function, their immune system.
Oh.
It's less about willpower, more about treating sleep like breathing, a non-negotiable need. And then there's movement. Eleanor, 86, she had a great take on this. Movement, not just exercise.
Ah, okay. What did she mean by that?
She wished she'd discovered walking just for pleasure, Instead of only walking to get somewhere, like running errands, it's about finding ways to move your body that you actually enjoy so it doesn't feel like a chore.
That makes sense. And it wasn't just the physical side, was it? You mentioned mental and emotional health came up just as much.
Just as much, and often with, I'd say, an even deeper layer of regret.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it really points to a big generational shift in how we even talk about emotional struggles. David, who's 81, he admitted, I spent my 50s white-knuckling through anxiety that I didn't even recognize as anxiety.
You didn't recognize it?
No. He just thought, oh, I'm a worrier, or this is just stress, it's normal. He didn't realize there were actual tools, strategies, even therapy back then that could have helped him.
Right. We talk about it so much more openly now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the message from them was crystal clear. Your emotional well-being, it deserves the same proactive care as your physical health. That means maybe addressing old family patterns, dealing with past stuff, looking at your coping mechanisms.
It's about building that resilience before you need it. I remember Patricia, 84, she said something really powerful. You don't want to be learning how to cope with loss when you're in the middle of losing everything.
Oof, yeah, that hits hard.
It does. The time to build those muscles, those strategies, is when things are relatively okay, not when the crisis hits.
Right.
So the core wisdom here really seems to be your 50s are for investing in that future vitality, proactively, not just reacting when things go wrong.
Exactly. And if health is the foundation, what do you build on it? What do you do with that vitality? Overwhelmingly, they pointed to relationships
Yeah.
as the ultimate source of meaning, of joy, way more than career achievements or money or things.
Yeah.
This was definitely the most emotionally charged area in the interviews.
And it wasn't just having relationships, right? It was about the quality, the vulnerability.
Absolutely. Janet, 78, she regretted performing in my relationships. That's how she put it. Performing instead of actually connecting.
Performing. What does she mean?
She was afraid, afraid that if people saw the real her, the messy parts, the struggles, they'd leave. But what she learned the hard way was that performing isn't connection. And connection is what actually feeds your soul.
That authenticity piece again.
Kept coming up. People regretted not being more honest about their needs, their struggles. William, 85, he talked about his marriage, said, we thought we were being good partners, but we weren't really being partners at all. I wish we had learned how to fight productively when we were 50. He realized later that conflict, if you navigate it well, actually deepens intimacy. It doesn't have to destroy it.
That's a huge insight. And it wasn't just marriage, right? This applied to friendships, family, too.
Yeah, across the board. Martha, 82, she admitted, I spent too much time with people I felt obligated to spend time with.
Oh, I think we can all relate to that one.
Right. Meanwhile, I was neglecting relationships with people who actually lifted me up. So part of the advice is take an honest look at your relationships.
An audit, really.
Who nourishes you? Who
Right.
drains you?
Exactly. And then be intentional about building new connections, too. Because life changes, people move, circles shift. Carol, 79, she wished she had just joined things. Book clubs, hiking groups, whatever, just to meet new people.
Yeah. Expanding that circle. And it includes family, too, especially adult children. Frank, 83, he talked about trying to parent his 30-year-old son. Always giving advice, worrying. He finally realized he needed to shift gears, become his friend. He regretted missing years of just enjoying his son for who he was because he was stuck in that parent mode.
That's tough. And what about the relationship with oneself? Did that come up?
Huge. So important. Susan, 81, she reflected, I never learned how to be alone without being lonely.
Wow. That's profound.
Isn't it? She wished she'd been braver about spending time just with herself. Realizing that solitude isn't necessarily isolation, it's actually crucial for self-knowledge, for connecting with your own inner world.
Okay, so the big takeaway on relationships is invest in real connection, not performance. Be brave enough for intimacy, set boundaries, make new friends, and learn to enjoy your own company.
That sums it up beautifully.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Work and career. This was interesting because the responses were nuanced. I sort of expected regrets about working too much or not enough, but it was more about not being intentional about how work fit into the bigger picture of their lives. More integration, less just balance.
Yes, exactly. Thomas, 79, he owned a successful business. He said, the whole concept of work-life balance always felt wrong to me. The question isn't how to balance them, it's how to integrate them.
Integrate. Okay.
Seeing work as just one important piece of a whole life design, not the thing everything else has to revolve around.
Which doesn't mean they slacked off. Linda, 84, the retired teacher. She said at 50 she was still chasing promotions.
Right.
But then she realized she actually wanted more time for travel, for flexibility, for hobbies. So she consciously chose to protect her energy for those things rather than just climbing the ladder. Richard, 86, said you need to stop auditioning for your own life and start living it.
Stop auditioning. I love that. It's about defining success on your own terms.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting counterpoint. Some actually regretted not taking bigger risks, career-wise, at 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Joyce, 78. She'd wanted to start her own consulting business for years, but was too afraid. finally did it at 65, and absolutely loved it. It was incredibly fulfilling. She just wished she had found the courage earlier. It highlights that your 50s can actually be a fantastic time for a pivot. You've got experience, credibility, but still enough time to build something meaningful.
That leads nicely into another idea that came up, developing multiple streams of meaning.
Yes, George, 82, the retired doctor. He realized his identity was so wrapped up in being Dr. George that when he retired, he felt completely lost, adrift. He wished he'd cultivated other interests, other parts of his identity while he was still working, so the transition wouldn't have been such a shock.
It's not just about financial planning for retirement, then.
No, it's existential planning, too.
Yeah.
Helen, 83, she said, we had enough money, but we hadn't developed interests or routines that would give structure and meaning to unstructured time. You need to design a life that feels rich and purposeful, even without the structure of a job.
So the wisdom on work seems to be, see it as part of a bigger life design. Define your own success. Maybe take some calculated risks. Definitely build identities outside of work. And plan for retirement emotionally, not just financially.
Couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
And one more related point that Paul, 87, brought up, mentoring, passing on knowledge. He wished he'd been more deliberate about sharing his 40 years of engineering experience with younger colleagues. He realized later how fulfilling that act of sharing, of giving back, would have been for him too.
Okay. Now, this next theme was one I found genuinely surprising, but it came up again and again. The power of saying no.
Yes. Transformative, learning to say no systematically, and crucially, without guilt.
Barbara, 81, she apparently laughed about it, said, at 50, I was still saying yes to everything. I was being scattered.
Scattered. That word came up a lot.
Because every yes is a no to something else, right?
Exactly. And she wished she'd been way more conscious of those trade-offs. Time and energy, they're finite.
Yeah.
You have to choose where they go.
Charles, 84, put it so well. I wish I had understood that saying no to good things allows you to say yes to great things.
Ooh, that's good.
He spent too much time on, committees for things he only mildly cared about when he could have been with family or pursuing things he was passionate about. It's about discernment.
And it applied everywhere. Social stuff? Absolutely. Setting firmer family boundaries. Nancy, 79, talked about constantly feeling obligated to rescue people, which just drained her. Even at work, Roger, 85, called himself a chronic overcommitter. Wished he'd focused his energy on fewer things, done them better.
And maybe the toughest one? Saying no to our own impulses. Dorothy, 82, confessed to watching hours of TV she didn't even like.
We've all been there.
Right. But she said all those hours added up. Those little choices, they compound. They steal time from what you actually value.
It ties into what Virginia, 83, called intentional living. She started asking herself frequently, is this how I want to spend this hour of my life?
Wow. Just checking in.
Yeah. Not obsessively, but just a gentle, consistent check, making sure her time aligned with her values.
And the result of saying no, it creates space. Edward, 88, said, when I finally learned to protect my time, I discovered I actually had time.
Exactly. Time for the things that mattered. Volunteering, learning, exploring.
So the big lesson, audit your commitments at 50. Align your yeses with your values, your goals, your energy. And remember their advice. Disappointing others is better than disappointing yourself.
Powerful stuff. Okay, should we talk about money?
Yes, always revealing. How did their relationship with money change?
The big shift was seeing it differently. Arthur, 84, the retired accountant, he nailed it. At 50, I still thought money was how you kept score, but money is a tool.
A tool, not a scorecard.
Exactly. Seeing it as a means to an end. What end? Security, maybe? Freedom, generosity, peace of mind? But not the end goal itself. That was a huge realization for many.
And did they feel like they knew how much was enough?
Often, no. That was a major source of anxiety. Rose, 86, said, I was saving and investing and accumulating, but I wasn't clear about the purpose. You never know when you have enough.
Yeah.
Harold, 81, had this vague goal like $1 million, but he hadn't actually done the math for the lifestyle he really wanted. That ambiguity just breeds worry.
So the regret wasn't being responsible, it was being anxious. And maybe not spending intentionally.
Precisely. Evelyn, 79, she regretted spending on stuff that didn't really matter deep down, but then hesitating to spend on things that would have genuinely enhanced her life, like travel or taking a class.
Saving for a life you're not living. Classic trap.
And what did bring lasting satisfaction? Spending on experiences, on relationships, on personal growth, Consistently, that's what they valued in hindsight.
And generosity came up too.
Yes, strongly. Walter, 85, said he and his wife waited until they felt they had enough to be really generous. They regretted that later. They realized how much purpose and fulfillment giving back earlier would have brought them. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the connection and impact.
It connects back to values, doesn't it? Gladys, 83, said family was her priority, but she worked insane hours for a bigger house she didn't really need and missed family time. Her actions didn't match her values.
Right. And James, 87, regretted buying a huge house, wished later for something smaller in a walkable area, thinking about lifestyle, community, aging well, not just square footage.
So the money wisdom is get clear on what money is for, align spending with values, be generous sooner. Security is important, sure, but the anxiety, maybe that's optional.
Well said. And one last piece on money from Louise, 80. Talk about it.
Within the family.
Yes. She wished they'd had more open conversations about goals, strategies, because money impacts everyone and silence often just creates tension.
Okay, now for maybe the heaviest, most emotional topic, forgiveness. Forgiving others, yes. But often, even harder, forgiving themselves. Mary, 82, had that quote. I carried grudges like they were treasures. I thought I was protecting myself, but really I was imprisoning myself.
Imprisoning herself, that's powerful. She learned, like many, that forgiveness is fundamentally about freeing yourself, letting go of that burden.
And Robert, 85, made that crucial distinction. Forgiveness isn't about trust, necessarily.
Right. It just means you stop letting their past behavior control your present emotional state. It's a gift you give yourself.
And it's not a one-time thing, is it? Patricia, 78, said, I had to forgive my father every day for about 5 years.
Every day. It's a practice. A conscious choice you keep making, like mental hygiene, until the bitterness finally loses its power.
But you said self-forgiveness was often harder. Why is that? William, 83, talked about being so hard on himself, how exhausting it was.
I think it's because that inner critic can be absolutely relentless, far harsher than anyone outside. Eleanor, 86, put it so well. I wish I'd understood that making the mistakes doesn't make you a mistake.
Oh, wow. Confusing the action with the identity.
Exactly. And Frank, 79, admitted he'd never speak to a friend the way he spoke to himself inside his own head.
Yeah.
That internal cruelty just creates suffering.
And part of it seemed to be about grieving, too. Grieving the person they thought they should have been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Letting go of that impossible ideal. Janet, 81, had to grieve the perfect mother I thought I should be, to finally appreciate the good enough, loving mother she actually was.
Accepting the real you.
And Charles, 84, said you can acknowledge disappointment without letting it define you. You can acknowledge that things didn't go as planned without deciding that your whole life is a failure. Making amends also came up. Thomas, 87, regretted that fight with his brother who died suddenly. That missed chance haunted him.
But you don't always need the other person, right? Dorothy, 83, forgave her mother even without an apology.
Right. It was for her own peace, her own freedom. So the essence is, holding anger hurts you most. Forgiveness is a practice.
Yeah.
Self-forgiveness is vital. The goal is liberation from that emotional weight.
And Susan, 80, found that after forgiving her ex, she could actually feel gratitude for him as a father.
See, forgiveness can open up unexpected space for gratitude, for a wider perspective.
Okay, last major theme, embracing change. This was fascinating because of the contrast between how change felt then versus how they saw it now.
Huge difference. What felt like terrible loss or disruption at 50, often in hindsight, turned out to be a necessary redirection, something that led to something better.
Carol, 79, admitted she was terrified of change at 50, but she learned the only choice is whether you'll be a participant or a victim, because change is going to happen whether you like it or not.
And Richard, 85, whose layoff at 52 felt like the end of the world.
Yeah.
It pushed him into that consulting career he ended up loving, the very thing he might not have had the courage to do otherwise. Unexpected opportunities often hide inside unwanted changes.
Did others find that too? That initial fear turning into gratitude?
Absolutely. The empty nest was a big one. Helen, 78, mourned for years after her kids left. But when she finally stopped resisting it, she found new adult friendships with them, plus time for her own interests. Joyce, 82, had defined herself only as mom and felt lost, but eventually found new purpose.
And it wasn't just the big life changes, was it? Smaller things too, like tech or social shifts.
Yes. George, 86, regretted spending so much energy complaining about how things used to be. He said, nostalgia isn't a life strategy.
Good line.
Isn't it? Martha, 84, developed a strategy. Instead of asking what's wrong with this new thing, she started asking what's interesting about this. Just to stay engaged, curious, not resistant.
That's a great mindset shift. And Paul, 81, emphasized participation. Waiting isn't a strategy. Change requires participation, being proactive.
Taking agency. Virginia, 83, stressed that even if you can't control the change itself, you always control your attitude, your responses, your decisions within it.
And again, building resilience before the storm hits. Edward, 79, wished he'd learned meditation when life was calm, not waiting until he was in crisis.
And Nancy, 77, realized through all the changes, moves, illness, loss, that she was way stronger and more adaptable than she ever thought. Change became proof of her resilience, an opportunity for growth.
So wrapping this all up, the 50s really emerge as this incredibly potent decade for cultivating a proactive, adaptable approach to life. These insights, they're more than just stories. They feel like a gift.
They really are a profound gift. And it's crucial to remember, this isn't about making anyone feel regretful now. It's the opposite. It's about empowering you, listening right now with foresight, with a kind of roadmap. This wisdom shows so clearly how the intentional choices you make now in this chapter of life can genuinely shape the decades to come, leading towards more vitality, deeper connections, real purpose, and ultimately more peace.
So thinking about all this wisdom, what does it mean for you listening? What's maybe one small intentional choice you could make today, armed with these insights, that your own 80-year-old self will look back on and genuinely thank you for? Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.